Despite what you think, you do not need a new identity or a new routine, but what you actually need is a place where you can hear yourself think. And that is where journaling comes in. It's not just a cute hobby, but it is a tool for emotional regulation where you are able to tap into this idea of conscious living. For most of my life, I have used journaling as a resource to pull me through when times were hard. But recently, this year, I have learned that it is something that pulls me out of my own brain. And this all started when I put myself through the Artist's Way at the beginning of this year, 2025, where you basically dedicate yourself to 3 pages of journaling every single day. It's like this whole program. And ever since then, I have been journaling 3 pages every single day. And let me tell you, it has changed my life. I have more confidence, more self-assurance, and more emotional regulation than I have ever had in my entire life, all thanks to journaling. And not only that, but I have less panic about the future, less anxiety from rumination, and less of this pressure to feel like I have to get everything done at once because of this daily habit that I've integrated into my life. And so today, in this episode of To Be Known, I am going to be sharing with you the tips, the tricks, and the way that you can make journaling a part of your daily routine, because it will seriously change the way that you think about yourself and also how you show up in your life. So let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of To Be Known. If you're new here, my name is Makayla Morman, and I am your go-to girl when it comes to anything personal development related in your 20s. Now, if you are a weekly listener here of the podcast, you know that I have been journaling a lot throughout 2025. I started off the year, as I mentioned earlier, doing the Artist's Way. It completely transformed how I view myself as a creator, as a consumer, as just living more consciously in my life and in the world. And what I gained from the Artist's Way was this daily practice of journaling 3 pages first thing every single morning. And journaling alone didn't just, quote, fix my life, but it's allowed me to see myself a lot more clearly. It's allowed me to see my wants, my needs, my desires, my emotions, my patterns, my habits. I've learned a lot about myself and what I want out of life because of journaling. And I want you to gain this too, because I feel like journaling can feel a little scary, a little daunting, because you might not know how to integrate it into your life or what to actually write about. And we're going to be getting into that today because I want you to walk away from today's episode feeling ready, feeling invigorated, feeling like you want to go buy yourself a cute new journal or crack open that old one that's been sitting at the bottom of your sock drawer. I want you to start journaling today. I'm going to be walking you through why journaling works, the method that has changed the game for me, as well as how you can integrate this into your life so that this becomes a practice that you actually want to stick with. If I were to explain why journaling works in a single sentence, it is because our brains are too loud to think about everything all at once. Journaling just helps us externalize those thoughts so that we are actually able to understand them. When we externalize our thoughts to whoever, to whatever, whether it's a therapist, a friend, a family member, or simply just doing a voice memo or writing them down on a sheet of paper, we are then able to understand what we actually feel, our thoughts, our feelings, our needs, our desires. When we journal, we are able to recognize the unconscious patterns that we might have as a person because they're tangible. They are on a sheet of paper. We are able to flip back and see the ways that we have changed and the ways that we have remained the same. Seeing your words on paper forces you to notice what it is that you are avoiding, the ways that we might be living in autopilot. You have to face yourself when you are journaling. And that is something that can be very intimidating for people when they are taking on this practice. Now, I'm not saying that journaling always has to be a trauma dump of a situation on a piece of paper. When you put down pen to paper to think about your life, to think about how you feel about yourself and your day to day, this gives you awareness. And from that awareness, it gives you the opportunity to make a choice about who you want to be and what you want to change. And this gives you the ability to change your life because you have that recognition, that awareness of the choices that you make on the day to day that are either feeding into your growth or holding you back. Because the reality is, you cannot change if you are not able to witness who you actually are. And that's what journaling provides. The thing that actually got me to integrate this practice of journaling in my daily routine was the artist's way. Now, I challenged myself to do this earlier in the year, and it is basically just a 90-day workshop where you read a book and you make sure that you journal 3 pages every single day, along with dedicating 2 hours of your week into doing a creative project or really just doing something with yourself, by yourself, for you each week. And the artist's way, by no means, is for people who are artists or want to become artists. It is just for those who want to step away from the consumer mindset and become a more conscious person in their lives. It is basically just to inspire how you are inherently a creative person. You are able to see that by how you journal and by how you think and by how you allow yourself to spend that 2 hours of your week for yourself. It's reconnecting with who you are and what you want out of life. The thing that I took away the most from the artist's way was the fact that I wanted to dedicate myself first thing in the morning before I go on my phone to go and journal 3 pages. This started off as just sort of like a brain dump of sorts, where it was anything that I was thinking, anything that I was feeling, what I wanted for myself in the future. But over time, I became very formulaic with my journaling habits. And that is what has really stuck with me, is how I have divided up these 3 pages to truly work for me and my needs and what I want first thing in the morning. Even though I am formulaic, my main rule is that I don't need to make it pretty. I don't need to edit my words. I just need to get them out from my head and onto the sheet of paper. Let me break down my formulaic way that I set up my journaling every single morning so that you know what 3 pages could look like for you. Now, when it comes to creating your own journaling routine, you need to do what feels right for you. Maybe it is 3 pages of just doing a brain dump and getting whatever it is out from your mind onto a sheet of paper. This really works well in the beginning. Or maybe it becomes something more formulaic, as I have realized I need in my own life. The first page is always going to be that brain dump that I've mentioned. It's basically just me reviewing whatever it is that's going on in my life at that current moment, or whatever it is that I am really needing to focus on, whether it is a set of emotions, a set of thoughts. If I'm upset about something that's going on in my life, this is the page that I basically just write it all down in. It doesn't have to be that I have to find an answer by the end of the page. It is just me splattering my mind onto the sheet of paper. The second page is a little bit more formulaic in the sense that I have a topic that I focus on in the second page. And I'm going to be dropping a list of topics that I focus on this second page down in the show notes below. So if you are wanting to see, but some topics that I really like to shuffle through on the weekly are either manifestations, on where I want to go, who I want to be in the future. Maybe I use it just to write down affirmation statements of what I am needing to hear that day. If I am in a moment of panic or anxiety, I use page 1 to talk about whatever it is I'm anxious about. I use page 2 to bring me back down to earth and say 10 things that I know to be true. Or just a classic creative project brain dump, or create a bunch of checkboxes for things that I want to do in the future. Now, the third page, it's kind of going to be a little confusing because I just talked about the checkboxes, but this is where I really sort of focus in on what I can do that day. Now, I am a person who really likes to live my life based on my values. I am a values-driven person, I have this very strong calling to live my life based on 3 values. My values in my life are making sure that I am committing myself to love, growth, and strength every single day. So, what I am doing on this third page is writing down the things that I can do that day that I will commit myself to do that are based on love, growth, or strength. What this looks like is basically me writing an affirmation statement saying, I am going to commit myself to doing the following today so that I can live a life based on love, growth, and strength. And then I go down and I write a list of 9 to 10 things that I am going to commit myself to do. I categorize those 10 things based on my 3 values. I have things that are based on love for myself or other people. And this can look like caring for my personal needs, moving my body, connecting with loved ones. Then I move on to things that inspire growth in my life. And this can look like finishing all of my work or attending to my master's program because I'm a master's student, or, working on my podcast. And then I move through strength, which basically means something where I'm exerting myself either physically, like really pushing my boundaries physically, or maybe it's trying to build up emotional strength. So I'm trying to speak more from my heart or push my own personal boundaries, whatever it might be. I have different actions for each day that are based on my values that I make sure that I commit myself to. And then I end it with some more affirmation statements to fill up the page. And finally, 3 statements of gratitude where I just say, I am thankful for my health. I am thankful for my loved ones, whatever it is that I am thankful for that day. I always end my journaling practice by saying what it is that I am grateful for. And this formula works wonders for me. I am excited to wake up first thing in the morning and have that page for my brain dump. And for me, this has helped me see my life, who I am, and what I want and what I do on a day to day in such a more clear and conscious way that I feel like I have grown so much as a person because of this practice. I cannot recommend it enough. And so that's why I made an entire episode today to share with you pretty much my journey, because I want this change for you too, because all it takes is 30 minutes first thing every single morning for you to have so much more confidence, self-assurance, and emotional regulation when it comes to gaining this practice of journaling. You are going to see yourself so much more fully and wonderfully and have so much more inner strength when you allow yourself to externalize your thoughts, to externalize your dreams onto a sheet of paper and see how you can make all of that your reality. For me, journaling has been around in my life, as I said earlier, and it's really only been something that I've dedicated myself to when things were going wrong. And now I never get to that bad place anymore because I have this daily practice in my life. And I will tell you, it took probably 30 days before it really felt like this was a part of like my livelihood for me to really get into journaling, because it takes 90 days to make a habit. 30 days takes time for you to feel comfortable doing it, but 90 days is really what makes a habit. And I feel like when you go into journaling and trying to gain this practice as a habit where you don't hold shame like against yourself for if you don't do it for a couple of days, it makes it that much easier for you to go back to. Journaling has revealed a lot about myself to me. It's shown me so much of my self-sabotaging patterns, the ways in which that I just don't regulate my emotions correctly. I've noticed the ways that I have had a tendency to be a little bit emotionally immature or avoidant of my own feelings. And I see that that is a pattern that I have in my own life. I see that I can actually take charge and take control of my life to notice the gap of who I am and who I want to be. And through journaling, I have been able to pull that pattern out of me more and really be present with myself and my emotions and allow that to be shared and to be known It makes me realize that I don't have to do everything at once in order to live my best life. I can just write, I can just breathe, and I could just live a little, and it will happen as long as I dedicate myself to this practice and to myself day in and day out. Now that I've talked enough about myself and the reason why I truly believe in journaling and just how much it can change your life and how it has changed mine, let's figure out how journaling can change your life and how you can stick with this practice. And let me tell you, it all starts with 5 minutes. Now, you don't have to dive in to doing 3 pages of journaling first thing in the morning every single day. That is what works for me. It might not work for you. But if you start with 5 minutes every single day at a time that works for you, maybe you stack it on top of another habit. Maybe it's first thing in the morning. Maybe it's the last thing you do at night. Maybe it is something that you do at lunch, but give yourself 5 minutes to write down on a sheet of paper whatever it is that comes to the top of your mind. I don't care if it is your grocery list, what you did the day before, gossip from random people that you have heard. Give yourself 5 minutes to write down whatever it is that you want to write about on a sheet of paper. Do not aim for deep, moving, emotional things to come out of you during these 5 minutes. Aim for honest. Aim for whatever it is that comes to the top of your mind. Remember, this does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be beautiful. It should be messy. It should have imperfections with whatever it is. You can jump from topic to topic. It does not have to have a through line. It just has to be your mind on this sheet of paper. In order to make this habit actually stick in your life, you have to make it a ritual to actually have a dedicated time and place to writing. You have to make it a part of your routine that genuinely works for you. And the way that you can do this is by picking a particular time of day and thing that you pair with journaling. We humans, we are simple creatures, and we want to have a sense of normalcy in our lives. When it comes to any little tiny change, we look for ways that we can make it similar to what we are used to. So if journaling is brand new for you, if it is something that feels very daunting, what I recommend is that you make sure that you journal at the same time every single day. And not only that, but you also pair journaling with a reward. So for me, I journal at the same time every single day. First thing in the morning really helps me feel like I am awakening and starting my day fresh. But I also pair journaling with my coffee first thing in the morning. I live for my morning coffee. And so journaling has become a practice that not only is during my favorite time of the day, which is first thing in the morning, where I feel the most awake and the most ready to sit down and actually journal, but I also pair it with something that genuinely makes me feel good, which is my morning coffee. Maybe for you, it's that you're a night person. You want to journal last thing at night, and you make sure that you pair journaling with your favorite herbal tea, or maybe it is a soda. You sip your soda, or you eat your dessert and you journal. Whatever it is, I don't care, but make it a ritual that you know day in and day out at this particular time, I am going to journal and I am going to pair it with my favorite whatever food, drink thing. Pair it with something that feels natural and normal in your day to day that just makes you feel good. Because then journaling is also going to make you feel good, and it's not going to feel so daunting if it feels like it blends seamlessly into your day-to-day life. And not only that, but if journaling feels daunting at the beginning, you got to give yourself prompts to go off of. If, brain dump just doesn't really make sense to you, go look online and try to find prompts that genuinely feel good to you. And if you also need some inspiration, look down below at some journal prompts that I do have. I also have some prompts that I've posted on my Instagram at To Be Known Pod. Links will also be down below. But some prompts that you can ask yourself in your pages are this: what is taking up space in my brain today? What version of me do I want to become? What past version of me is trying to show up today? What is taking up space in my brain today? What am I avoiding and why? What do I feel like I actually enjoy in my life? Take with that what you will and leave what you don't, but genuinely, prompts really do work from time to time. They are always a resource that you can go to and look up online, but find prompts that genuinely work for you, that resonate with whatever it is that you are needing that day to get you into the journaling habit. All you need is 5 minutes every single morning to get yourself into this practice. Some days it's going to be easy, some days it's going to be hard, some days journaling is going to be the thing that you look forward to the most. And sometimes it's going to feel like a nuisance, but at the end of it, you will always leave feeling better. You will always be happy that you dedicated that time to yourself to think about your life, to think for yourself, because you cannot fix, you cannot change what you don't see. And journaling allows you the opportunity to recognize who you are and what it is that you genuinely want out of life and what you are missing. Journaling at the end of the day is going to be the thing that continuously brings you back to yourself. The way that worked the best to ingrain this practice into my life was to challenge myself to 90 days of journaling day in and day out, 3 pages by doing the artist's way. And after that 90 days, it was a habit. I felt like I didn't want to live my life without it. And so if I were to recommend anything to you, it's to challenge yourself to journal for 90 days. Now, for me, doing a workshop like that really worked, but that's not for everyone. However, what I would recommend is that you take out a sheet of paper, you write numbers 1 through 90, and you cross it off for 90 days to get you into that habit. It takes an average of 66 days to make a new habit. On average, some habits it takes 18 days. Some habits it takes up to 256 days, according to Google Gemini, but it takes a decent amount of time for you to create a new habit. And let me remind you, it took me about a month for me to feel like this was a natural part of my routine. I had to get over that uncomfortable hurdle of dedicating that time to myself every single day to journal. As we close out of today's episode, I am going to challenge you to journal. Not for 30 days or 90 days, but for this next week, I want you to journal at the same time every single day with that little reward. And I want you to just take 5 to 10 minutes to write out 1 page, 2 pages, 3 pages, and come back in a week and let me know how you feel about this journaling practice in the comments below. I seriously love to hear from you guys in the comments, but especially when it does come to journaling and just how much it personally has changed my life. I know that it can change yours too, even if it's just 1 week. If you liked today's episode, please give this video a thumbs up. If you are watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. If you are listening on Spotify, please give this podcast a 5-star review. It means more than you know. And if you'd really like to follow along to the To Be Known journey, hit me up on TikTok or Instagram at To Be Known Pod. The links will always be down below. I also have a website where you can submit your own ideas for whatever topics you would like to hear from me next. And you could also feel free to share that in the comments down below. But with all that being said, stay true to you. Bye.